Hi there, Lee Thurburn, and welcome back to another episode of Livestream Lee, where we talk about how to make your business grow faster so that you can get back time, make more money, and retire sooner. So let's get started. So today we're going to be talking again about the revenue model and how the choice of a proper revenue model, thinking about how you're going to charge for your products or services in advance of getting into the business is a good thing. Now, if you've already gotten into business and you've already kind of locked yourself into a particular revenue model, I would like to invite you to ask me in the chat what kind of adjustments you might be able to be made for the business that you've got. I would love to have the opportunity to respond directly to questions that you have about how best to modify your current revenue model. Now, what I want to do is I want to jump right in, but first I'd like to mention something that should be important to all small business owners. And the thing about small business and being an entrepreneur is you have a tendency, in many cases, to isolate and not have the same kind of resources that you do when you're in a major corporation. So when you go to an office and you go to a company and you're in the office, whether you're in a cubicle or an office or what have you, you always have people nearby, people that you can bounce ideas off of. When you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, a lot of times you don't have that luxury. I myself don't know what I don't know. And none of us really know what we don't know, but there are people that do know what we don't know. And so it's important to have a network of people like financial advisors and accountants and attorneys and risk management experts, people that have seen stuff that you haven't seen. Now, when it comes to legal stuff, I have a guy named Scott Reeb that I work with. He's an attorney, business attorney, and an entrepreneur. So he knows what the journey's like. He's extremely knowledgeable, and I like bouncing ideas off of Scott. So if you have not yet chosen or have a great attorney that you could work with, I want to recommend that you go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Scott Reeb button to get to know more about Scott. You'll be able to go to his website, learn about him, sign up for his newsletter, reach out, make a phone call if you want to. When I have a new idea, I always like to call Scott and run it by him. When somebody comes to me with an idea that I'm thinking is maybe pretty interesting, I like to run it by Scott and see what his thoughts are before I take any further steps. So if you don't have an advisor like that, go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Scott Reeb link. All right. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to just go ahead and kind of jump in. And before I do that, let me put this little graphic up here where you can see how to get to livestreamlee.com. By the way, when you go there, please click on the Join My Community. When you join the Livestream Lee community, you get access to a whole suite of digital marketing tools. And you also get access to content that is only available to community members. But probably the most important thing is that in the process of creating an account, we're going to give you the opportunity to tell us about your company and what kinds of services you offer. And then we're going to put that into our system and try to match you with companies that are looking for companies that offer the services you do. So that's a benefit that you get by joining the livestreamlee.com community. So please go do that. Now, let's talk about the process of getting a business started. So I've shown you, and we've talked about this before, but there are a number of steps in the process of getting a business started. Of course, first you have to have the idea. I call that formulating a concept. Once you have an idea, you need to do a little bit of analysis and investigation before you just jump out there and start trying to do business. I mean, you need to go through some checks and balances steps. And so these are things that are called feasibility analysis, SWOT analysis, value chain analysis, and 5 forces analysis. Now, once you've kind of done all of that and you've determined that it in fact makes sense for you to launch the business that you're thinking about launching, then you want to define your business model. Well, that's for the stage that we're actually on in this conversation. Now, When you define your business model, there's actually quite a few different steps in the business model definition process. Generally speaking, you're going to have to come up with a specific revenue model. Now, you can divide the business model up into a number of different components. These are standard sort of components of your business model. One is, how are you actually going to charge for your services? The next is your customer profile. Who is it that you're going to be selling your services to? We've actually had a conversation and where there's a worksheet in the Livestreamly members website area to help you be able to refine and define the customer profile, the target customer that you're after. Then you need to look at things like how you're going to support that customer after the sale. What's your value proposition exactly? How do you communicate why people should do business with you? How are you different from your competitors? How do you differentiate your services? How do you actually sell them? What does that selling process look like? And of course, that deals a lot with market research and marketing strategy and those kinds of things, which we're going to get into in a later episode. Then, of course, there's the distribution process. How do you get your products in? How do you communicate to your customer? And how do you get your products out? So there's distribution, there's channel bringing in, so inbound and outbound distribution, channel relationships, and finally pricing. What does the margin look like, and what kind of volume are you looking at, and what makes sense from a pricing perspective, and what kind of signals does that send to the market? So these are all things that you want to talk about in the business model. But we're going to talk today about the revenue model. Now, this is a continuation of the conversation that we had on Monday of this week. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, please go back and take a look at it. There are fundamentally two, and a third hybrid, but there are fundamentally two types of revenue models that exist. One is what is called the recurring revenue model, and that means that your customer, either because of a contract or because of some habituation or predictable pattern, is going to come back to you on a regular basis, daily, weekly, monthly, daily for gasoline, maybe for sandwiches or lunch food, weekly for other products, monthly for a lot of things. I mean, some sort of recurring, predictable revenue stream. That's a recurring revenue model. Then you have your non-recurring revenue models. And those are things where you don't necessarily know when your customer is going to come in or come back to you. And so these are typically identified as with companies that like real estate agents and criminal defense attorneys and many general types of attorneys. I mean, if you're a family law attorney dealing with divorces, you're probably not going to have the same client more than once, maybe twice in a lifetime. It'd be unusual for you to get a lot of repeat business if you're a family attorney. So certain kinds of businesses don't have any kind of recurring revenue that they can count on. But other businesses have hybrids where they have a combination of a recurring and a non-recurring component. Today, we're going to talk about recurring revenue. And before I jump into what is actually the thing I want to talk about, we're going to actually set the tone for what some great recurring revenue business models are. And so you see here on this little panel that I put up, mobile phones, streaming TV, yard maintenance, life insurance, securities alarms, mortgage lenders. These are all examples of companies that have a recurring revenue stream. So you, in most of these cases, have a contract with the provider of that service to buy that service and pay for that service on a recurring monthly basis, or maybe more frequently, less frequently, but still a recurring basis. These are among the most valuable companies in the world. Now, I won't say yard maintenance companies are, but phone companies, telephone companies, of course, are hugely valued. Streaming entertainment companies like Netflix and Hulu and Spotify and Disney and Apple. These are all companies that have significant revenue streams that are based upon a recurring, significant valuations based upon recurring revenue streams. life insurance or any kind of insurance, health insurance, life insurance, disability, it doesn't matter. These are companies that have built themselves around recurring revenue streams. In fact, many of the largest companies in the United States, the world, are insurance companies because they have built such a powerful, predictable, and profitable recurring revenue stream. And then, of course, mortgage lenders and security alarms. Now, if you're not one of these kinds of companies, how do you create a recurring revenue stream? So in other words, if you're a company that is maybe in the following lines of businesses, maybe you have a product that you sell, or you're in the product sales business. Maybe you sell t-shirts or dresses or candles or what have you. You have some sort of a product sales business. How do you build a recurring revenue stream? What about professional services, accountants, attorneys, and different types of professionals? What about home services, personal services, and automotive services? So we're going to look at these businesses in just a moment, and I'm going to take each one of them sequentially, and we're going to talk about some of the ways that you might be able to generate a recurring revenue stream if you're one of those businesses. But before I jump into that, I want to stop and bring another thought to your mind, and that is, are you a fan of history? I get a lot of newsletters in my email, and a lot of them I don't ask for, but probably like you get a lot that you don't ask for too. Well, I get one from a guy named Dan Nelson. He's a genealogist with Dan Sester's genealogy, and Dan is a master storyteller. He has some of the most interesting historical snippets and tidbits and stories that I always look forward to. He sends out his email every couple of weeks, and I look forward to it because I enjoy reading about interesting characters that Dan has come across, or interesting historical facts that Dan has come across as he's done his genealogy research. Now, if by chance you like that kind of stuff like I do, I'm going to suggest you go to livestreamly.com and find the Dan Nelson button, click on it, and go to Dan's website and sign up for his newsletter. Now, you can always cancel if you decide you don't like it. And who knows, you may even decide that you want to find out more about your ancestors. I'm telling you, some of those grandparents and grandmas and granddads, they did some interesting stuff. I'm going to have Dan check into mine in the past at some point. Maybe you're going to want to do the same thing. Find out some of the stories that are worth hearing in your past. Okay, so let's go ahead and come back in and let's talk about some of these. How do you create recurring revenue when you're in a business that's a product sales business? Okay, well, let's look at that. It's interesting if you make yourself aware of how different types of businesses, you're going to see a common thread among businesses. Recurring revenue stream businesses have a tendency to not be as aggressive advertisers as those that don't have recurring revenue. And the reason is because recurring revenue businesses have revenue stream predictability, and they are more steady state in their marketing. They're not intense. They will have strategies that stretch over long periods of time. Now, for some of them, they have seasonality, like cell phones. There's a lot more cell phones are sold in the holiday season than any other time, and that's primarily because people buy themselves presents when the holidays get here, as well as presents for other people. So even in the recurring revenue stream businesses, there tends to be some seasonality. But for businesses that sell products, and it doesn't matter whether you're selling Ford trucks or Chevy cars or dresses or what have you, if you're candles, it doesn't matter. If you're selling products, your clients typically don't come back to you with the same kind of predictability that clients do for the other recurring revenue stream businesses. So how do you even out your income? Well, you do that by consistently marketing, because it doesn't really matter whether you're selling candles, dresses, or cars. People don't think about candles, dresses, or cars, generally speaking, until they are in the mode or the mood to buy one. And especially true of cars. Cars and trucks make a great example of this fact. There's a Ford dealership that I hear advertising on the radio a lot, and they are constantly advertising, and their message basically goes like this: get your Ford truck this weekend. It's the best deal of the weekend, the best deal of the year this weekend. Get your Ford truck. I mean, you've heard the ads, right? There's a lot of hyperbole and a lot of pressure because the sales have never been better, and this is the weekend to get the best deal ever. Well, the reality is they do that every weekend. And if you don't buy one this weekend, they're probably going to have a sale next weekend. And we all know that. But here's the thing. You do not pay any attention to those pickup truck advertisements when you're not thinking about buying a pickup truck. But when you get to the point you're thinking about buying a pickup truck, you're going to listen to those pickup truck ads and start thinking, I wonder if maybe it is a good weekend to buy a truck. And so you're going to be much more likely to pay attention to the ad and then respond to the limited time incentive that they offer, or the limited time motivation that they try to use to get you to go to the dealership and make a deal, drive a truck, talk to a sales guy. And why? Well, because they know that once you get into the mode, you're in that mode of buying a vehicle for a limited time. And you're not going to probably go to 15 different dealerships. You're probably going to shop around online, call one or two, go out and drive one and buy one, because that's basically the way people do it nowadays. So they're constantly advertising. And the reason they're constantly advertising is that narrow slice of people in the population that want that 1 or 2 or 3% that are thinking about buying that vehicle now. Those are the ones they're trying to reach, and they want to get their attention and get them to take an action. So product sales companies smooth out their revenue stream by consistently advertising. So that's one of the hallmarks of a product sales or a non-recurring revenue stream company, is they tend to be very aggressive in their marketing. But there are things that many of them can do. Now, this may not work for everybody, but there are things that many of them can do to help smooth out the predictability of the revenue. One of them is to have membership clubs. And you might do this for, say, a masseuse, or you might do this for a t-shirt company, or you might do this with a with a candle company, where you offer a membership. Now, the membership might be free. It might have a cost associated with it. There's basically two strategies on that. But if it's a free membership, then you're doing that because you're getting people to join your club so that you have the ability to do consistent marketing to them and let them know about the sales and the events that you have coming up that they might be interested in. If you're charging them a fee, that typically comes with a discount of some sort associated by being a member of the club. And for example, you might not need a doctor very often, but if you do need a doctor, you're going to have to pay a fee. Well, you're going to have to pay a fee to go see the doctor. If you have insurance, they may pay a part of it. But if you want to get a discount on seeing that doctor, you either purchase insurance, which then entitles you to only have to pay maybe a copay fee, or you might sign up for a telemedicine company like 24-Hour Physicians, where you simply you pay a fee and then you get a discounted cost on a telemedicine visit with a doctor. So you pay a fee up front, a nominal fee on a monthly basis, and then you can utilize the services of that provider or buy the products of that vendor and get a discount over what you would normally pay for those. That's a model that's very common. These are in the realm of loyalty programs and membership clubs. Now, a loyalty program is specifically where you get some sort of points or benefits for utilizing the service. And hotels are extremely do this a lot back when people traveled and went to hotels. But hotels do this a lot. You join the hotel loyalty program. Every time you rent a room, you get a certain number of points. After 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 room rentals, you get a free night or a couple of nights of stay for free. These loyalty programs are great ways to keep you coming back. So if you're a business traveler and you're on the Hyatt or the Hilton loyalty program, you're probably going to go to the Hilton or the Hyatt more commonly than any other so that you can get the points. And that gives them greater predictability and greater profitability. Another thing that you can do is you can offer coupons to your customers, and coupons get people to purchase more frequently because there's some sort of a discount. And coupons are both an advertisement as well as they have a time-sensitive offer, so they incorporate a number of different ways of reaching out to people. Rewards programs, likewise, are similar to loyalty programs, and rewards programs are where you get some benefit from doing business with a company. And again, it could be in the form of points that you can redeem. There are a number of different types of rewards programs. One of the loyalty rewards programs that restaurants use commonly is having either an app or a punch card, where every time you show up and buy a meal or buy a sandwich, they punch your card, or they give you credit on your app, and then after a certain number of visits, they give you a free meal. But this encourages more frequent visitation to encourage you to return and to smooth out their revenue stream. So when you're in a non-recurring business, you have a lot of these kinds of options. Now, there are other businesses that I mentioned, and we're going to now kind of step through those. Most of them have some similarities, even though there are different types. For example, professional service programs. Professional services like attorneys and accountants and coaches and those kinds of businesses, they will often offer retainer programs. Now, a retainer program can work a number of different ways, but it typically works with a combination of a steady monthly fee that you pay them in exchange for a reduced rate on their services. Now, it might work like this. You pay them a fee of X number of dollars per month, maybe $400 a month. And then you are purchasing their time at a discount. So for example, an attorney might normally charge, say, $400 an hour. But if you get on a $400 a month program, they give you 2 hours a month of time accumulating or accruing into a bank, so that in the future, when you actually need their services, you will have a significant pool of available time accumulated. So a typical program with an attorney would be something like you pay $400 a month and you get some sort of monthly consultation service. You get maybe some benefits of some additional services either included or at a deeply discounted cost. And then the attorney would discount his or her hourly rate by a factor of 10 to 30%. And so if you need additional time for some unexpected event that comes up, then you have access to their professional services at a deep discount. Other types of retainer programs might be where you sign up for, say, getting a tax return done. You might have a corporate return, you might have a personal return, and you pay X number of dollars per month, $50 a month, and then you get your tax return, or a couple $100 a month, depends on the complexity of the program and your return. And then you don't have to worry about a lump sum cost at the end of the year. It's kind of like a time payment program, only in reverse, where you prepay, and because of the fact that you sign up to do a prepayment over a period of time, you get the client get a better deal. They, the professional, get a smoother cash flow that they can then have more predictability. Referral programs kind of work the same way, well, a little different. A referral program basically is where I get a benefit by making referrals to you. And so let's say you're an accountant or an attorney, and if I send you a client, you thank me by giving me something. You might give me an hour of your time, or you might give me a discount on my next tax return, or I might get your hourly rate reduced by a certain percentage. So it just depends on the nature of the business, but professional services often have those things. Now, some professionals like real estate agents and financial service agents, they have limitations on whether or not they can even offer anything, and if so, how much they can offer. Like real estate agents are prohibited by law and professional ethics from offering more than a $50 stipend or bonus to somebody that makes a referral to them. So you have to be, of course, mindful about the legal and professional association requirements and compliance issues that you have to deal with. But that's those are some ideas for you if you're in a professional service company. If you have a home services business, let's say you're a roofing contractor, how often am I going to need you to come to my roof? Well, probably not terribly often. It kind of depends upon whether or not I might live in an area that has constant threats of wind and or hail, or some other type of inclement weather, potential damage, ice damage, that kind of thing, ice formation on the roof that might damage the roof. So I might need a program where I get an inspection on a quarterly basis or annual basis, and I pay for that. Air conditioning companies might have filter replacement options where they have somebody that comes by and does a maintenance and a filter replacement on a regular basis. Of course, you have handymen, you have home, just general home contractors. And so there's a lot of different people that have businesses that you can implement a contract, and maybe you don't need a service every month, but because you're paying, you get the benefit of either a discounted rate. An example, of course, also could be something like another way that a company in the home services business might be able to smooth out their revenue stream. A good example would be a lawn maintenance or lawn care company that also does irrigation maintenance, also does lawn landscape installation, as well as holiday season light installation and even storage, and offers those services either at a premium fee at the end of the year or at a discounted fee by you paying for them over a course of months. And so these and membership programs as well that, like the other professionals, allow you to get discounts on services. And finally, automotive services. This is the last one I just kind of put in here. It's really not much different than home services or professional or personal services, but automotive services are companies, you can have maintenance agreements, you can have quarterly or monthly service calls where you bring your car in for topping off your fluids. You can have special offers to be able to allow people to, on the anniversary date of their membership, maybe they sign up a membership agreement, they get a discount on disposables like windshield wipers and tires, oil changes, that sort of stuff. So there's a number of different ways that you can, as an automotive company, be able to generate a more predictable revenue stream from your customer base. I want to step back and talk more about, as an entrepreneur, the what you don't know type of thing. There's a lot of stuff about risks that come up that, as an entrepreneur, we know there are risks out there that can hurt our business. The risk of being caught in a lawsuit, the risk of somebody falling, the risk of something happening that's totally unexpected. So there's all kinds of risks, and risk management is something that, if you don't work in and live in and think in that field on a regular basis, you're not going to really think of all of the risks that you have. You need not only liability insurance for your vehicles and for your property, but you also need umbrella policies and directors and officers policies, and maybe even disability income property policies and business interruption policies. There's all kinds of things that are risks that could impact the most valuable asset you probably have. And for business owners, that most valuable asset, aside from their health, is most likely the business. And so who do you turn to? Well, I turn to a guy named Carlos Cantu. Carlos is a risk management specialist. He works in the commercial industry. He works with businesses of all sorts. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a question about a risk, and I've called Carlos up and found him to be an incredible wealth of knowledge. Not only is Carlos a great guy, but he's very knowledgeable. He's been in the commercial insurance business for years. Go to livestreamlee.com and find the button for Carlos Cantu and click on it, and you'll be able to find out how to reach Carlos. Carlos is a great guy. Let me put his graphics up here. He's with TWFG Insurance. If you go to livestreamly.com and look for the Carlos Cantu button, you'll be able to get in touch with Carlos. The last thing I want to touch on is who we have as our guest on Friday of this week. Friday, March 26th, we're going to be speaking with Tisha Hammond. Tisha is the president of the Ascent Preparatory Academy for Entrepreneurs. She is in the business, it's her mission in life to help entrepreneurs become better prepared to launch a business and to succeed. And I'm looking forward to visiting with Tisha and finding out how she got into this and what kind of struggles she's had in her business and how she's overcome those. So please join me at 3 o'clock on Friday. And tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we'll be finishing our conversation on Michael Porter's 5 forces and how you can use 5 forces analysis to help you improve the strategy that you have for growing your business. We're going to be connecting the dots between 5 forces analysis and strategies that are applicable for the various scenarios that play themselves out in the 5 forces and analytical process. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 3 and again on Friday. Have a great day.